Hi, everybody. Today we are indeed going deep inside of Matt Rose, the mind of Matt Rose, that is. And by we, I mean not just myself, but I'm joined today by Steven. Steven, how's it going?
Hello, it's going well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Now, we're going to kind of jump right in. We have a lot to recap. I've got Warcom up here. As you guys can see, there's a lot going on this week, especially in Sigmar. Warcom is totally covered with all the Sigmar stuff that's happening. So very exciting. Couple things we want to talk about. Couple housekeeping things we want to talk about real quick. Yeah, no game right now, but there will be a game Monday. So if you're a member, get ready for that. And if you're not a member, please do consider becoming a member. Especially as Fourth Ed gears up. Once Fourth Ed launches, we'll be doing a lot we'll be doing a few extra member streams. I shouldn't say a lot, but a few in the opening weeks. You'll want to be able to access those. Also, I want to point something out, which is that this is Steve and I are doing this show today, and instead of a game, but in the upcoming week and the weeks leading up to Fourth Ed, which we very much are in right now, we're going to be doing something a little new and a little different. Let me show you our schedule, our weekly schedule. There it is. Okay, so as you can see, this is the stuff we normally do, but in the middle there you see we're going to be running an AOS up-and-coming show Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. This will mostly be me and Saray, but we'll see if and when we can get Brad or Steven or some others to jump in, talk about the factions they know and love. And so we are excited for this. Now, consider this a temporary show. We will not be doing a 9 a.m. show every day forever. It's just not going to happen. But we will be doing it for a while. So get excited about that. We hope you guys will consider us as your, talking heads after you see a thing, because that's what the hobby is, right? We all see a thing, and then we all need to go hear people talk about it so we can yell at them. Did I have that right, Stephen? Yeah, that's pretty much what this is.
That's how it goes. We need to read the things so we can argue about the things.
Yeah, we need to have somebody we can immediately tell they're wrong and
yeah, with as little context as possible.
Yeah. And without having time to really form opinions either. Like this is like
angry reaction.
Yes. Some of the stuff we're about to look at here came out almost a week ago. And we need to be able to not have that kind of time go by. We need to just
that's why I didn't read any of this, because I was like, well, I need to immediately react to it.
Yeah, Steven chose to do no homework, which I'm kind of into. Now you read the Stormcast, and you did.
I did read the Stormcast,
and you did see this. I think this seems like a lifetime ago. We did talk about this on our Monday game. Steven, we haven't heard your thoughts on this. One of the things I have always said when I talk about learning a new game is that sometimes the lore can help you. And if you kind of think about what something should do, then it can kind of help you zone in on maybe what their stats are. And it's something I've kind of always done to help memorize stats. And whenever it's wrong, it always is a little jarring in my head. And but here this is now. And what are your opening thoughts on this? Is this a safe way to go? Does this make sense?
Yeah, this does make sense. I'm glad that they did this. Sort of getting all the models, lining them up, talking about. The size of the model should matter, and the type of the model and what their role is and what they are fictionally. I love that Grot's hit on 4 and wound on 5s. That makes sense to me. They're a little goblin guy, right? And it makes sense that humans are the middle of the road. They're okay at hitting and they're okay at wounding. And I imagine if Stormcast was on here, they'd be 3s and 3s. And yeah, it does help with the game, because when you're playing against a new army or a new opponent, you can be like, it's like Space Marines. Like, you always know Space Marines armor save is a 3-up. That's been true for many, many, many editions now. I think this will help with that. I'm very curious, though, will this will this stand the test of time? Like, will this still be true at the end of the edition?
Yeah.
But also, what about things that are multiple things, right? Because we were just talking a little bit before we went live about Marathi. She is a monster. Is Marathi going to hit on fours?
I don't
Because
think
she is a
so.
monster. No, I don't think so either. So I think the rules are going to get broken a lot of times. But I
Yeah.
think as a starting point, I think for at least the base units, I think this is a good framework. I think this is a good place to start.
Right.
Because I think it will help. And I like the elves wound on fours, but they hit on threes. I think that's, I think we always associate elves as being very elite, but they're also very fragile and they're not as like hardy as a Stormcast. So I think it makes sense that they wound on slightly less. So yeah, I like this as an exercise, but I don't think this is gonna like be true in maybe even a year. I don't think this will be true. I think this is gonna go away fairly quickly.
Yeah, same. And like here's another one for you, right? Where do Dwarden, aka dwarves, fit in here? Are they really? Let's say a Stormcast is 3-3. Are they really as strong as an orc or a Stormcast, or are they more like 3-4? Are they like an elf? I mean,
Yeah, I imagine they'd be the inverse of the elf, right? They'd hit on fours, wound on threes, because they're a bit hardier, right? They're a bit stronger
like
than an elf,
like an orc.
kind of
Yeah,
like an orc, yeah.
yeah, interesting. But are they not also kind of like well trained, like an elf?
Yeah, but I don't know. They're short. Maybe it makes swinging the weapons hard. I don't know. Maybe there's.
I hope this is the conversation that Matt Rose and the guys
I
had.
think this is exactly I think this is exactly what they did. I think they
Well,
lined
they're
them up and went,
short.
well, that guy should be this, and they're like, well, that guy's kind of shorter and he's swinging a big weapon. That can't be easy. That guy's got a really long, like like the elves, the Lumineth with like the 10-foot long pole arms.
Right.
I'm like, they better hit on like fives because I don't know how you wield that thing in any kind of
Now,
like sensible way.
right. Now, Saul in chat brings up a good point. I've been thinking about this too as an ogre player. 4-2 sounds, I guess, right. That's what we're gonna see later. That's where trolls have landed. Trolls have
What's
landed
that?
in monster country of hitting on Trogoths.
Interesting.
They showed the troll data war scroll, and they're 4s and 2s. I think ogres would be 4s and 2s. I sort of weirdly ogres.
I think base ogres will be fours and threes. I think base ogres being fours and twos. I think the big choppy sword ones will
Yeah.
probably be fours and twos.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the random gut dudes being fours and twos. That would be very scary. I would be scared.
But I mean, keep in mind they have a lot of ways of changing things, and number of attacks could be one of them, right? They could put ogres.
Yes.
I mean, I was kind of half wondering if ogres might be 3-2. Honestly, they are kind of sold as like a more elite version of orcs often, right? But I don't know how much training they really get. Like again, it's
well, there's also two other stats, right, that factor into this. There's the rend and then there's the damage, right? And I think that also plays a huge role in these profiles. I don't think you can really assess a profile based on just the hit and wound. I think you have to look at it, in a much broader sense of like what the weapon rend and damage and number of attacks, as you say, I think is also a big one.
Yeah.
4 and 2 might sound bad if your monster's got 2 attacks. If it's got 6, you're like, that's not too bad.
Right. Yeah, I'm interested. I think it's a good system. I hope it does help people learn their roles. There are obvious, like, well, how are they going to get around that? Elite characters are probably going to hit one better, but maybe not necessarily.
I would kind of like, I mean, if they were very rigid and stuck to this kind of like almost religiously of like, if you are a human, you are hitting and wounding on 4s, that is the rule. That's kind of interesting to me. Then I want to see the stats there because I think that will then really start putting things in boxes. Because even the heroes like got to a point where if they were a hero, you're basically like, okay, so you hit on 3s, you wound on 3s, you rend 1 and you 2 damage, right? That was just like every hero on foot had basically the same profile.
Right.
It would be nice for it to be different and for different races and different factions to have different stats on even their heroes. I don't want everyone just because they're a hero to just be immediate 3s, 2s, rend 2, like whatever. Like their abilities should be why you take them, not always necessarily their fighting prowess, right?
Right. Yeah, that's very true. Okay, and I think that's mostly then we got to see all of the weapon universal special abilities, And as it
Yeah.
turns out, there's nothing new here really, except for shooting combat. And
No, I think the anti-rend one is the most interesting because now
oh,
instead
right,
of just giving units just wholesale, here's a bucket of rend, what they've done is, okay, you get a lot of rend against the thing you're designed to fight. And I
right,
think that is an awesome extra detail and extra step to rend
right,
because we've always had this rend creep problem in the game of things just get too killy. This allows that to happen, but only against like the rock, paper, scissors of what they're meant to counter. And I think
right.
this will really, really help units stay tempered in like their output, where you can't just be like, well, this is my hammer, it kills literally anything I put it into. Now it's
Yeah,
going to be, well, this is my hammer against infantry, this is my hammer against monsters. I think that will really help with distinctions of units and battlefield roles.
yeah, I think so too. And apparently, it says anti-X. Are we on the lookout for +1 something other than rend, or is this all? Are we thinking this is always going to be rend?
I could see it evolving in the future, but I don't think they'll add a new universal weapon ability because it will, like, they want to keep the core rules the core
Yeah,
rules.
yeah,
I could see it being I can see this maybe taking the form of like what hatred used to be in old school fantasy battles. You might get hatred chaos or hatred slaves to darkness, and that gives you a buff, but that would exist purely within your book or your sub faction, where you can still gain extra benefits that don't contradict or add to the universal rules.
right,
I could see that happening. I also really like the companion distinction where debuffs and buffs don't affect companions. So like your mounts, they don't get exploding sixes. They can't be debuff their attacks. Like I like that there's a distinction now of like, yep, just because you cast flaming weapon or whatever, or like +1 to attack, doesn't mean your mount also suddenly is inspired and also gets +1.
right.
I like that distinction.
Um, okay, well, this is I will say this. I'm pretty glad that they kept this list kind of small.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think this
I
was
also like that charging gives you a benefit because I don't think we've really seen that outside of unit special rules. I like
yeah,
now that stuff can just have charge and it gets a benefit for charging, because I would expect every cavalry unit in the game to have that effect. And if it doesn't, don't take that cavalry unit 'cause it's probably bad.
yeah, maybe right, maybe shooting. I might not expect Doomfire Warlocks or Raptidon Hunters to have it, but yeah, like
Raptidon Hunters should definitely have it. They are the
no, no the
elitist of cavalry in that, in
no
that army.
the Chargers should have it, right? Not the
Oh,
Hunters.
you're
So
you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about the javelin
The
throw.
shoot
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
shooty guys.
Yeah, the shooty units, yeah, probably won't have that.
Okay, now before we get into juicy unit by units, we do want to remind you guys we are taking super chats to answer questions, so you can, or just so you can yell at us in a more direct way.
Yeah, tell us we're wrong.
Tell us we're wrong. We do as always appreciate any support, and make sure you give the show a like. Also, if you're watching, even if you're watching after the fact, give us a like. Okay, so before we jump into rules, we did get this cool article that I really like. This article, I'll be honest with you, I don't always have the time to sit and read like all of the cool short stories they've been posting. I do read some of them, and I actually did read the Dark Oath one today a little bit. I did not read all of it, but I read a lot of it and then skimmed through the rest of it.
I really wish they'd compile them into a book that I could buy because like they're really good stories.
They're
like,
not
all, like
they're not bad at all. Most of them
yeah,
are
like
pretty,
some of them. The my favorite one is definitely the one with the two vampire characters, the Gormain and the
Ushan.
Neferata
Oh,
lady, where they're going in to talk to Usharan, and they just have this little like that whole story is fantastic.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
like understanding how he sees their realm and he flips between seeing the reality and seeing the madness, and he's like the only ghoul that sort of gets both.
Right.
It's a great little story. I would love for them to compile those into a collection at some point with Black Library or something.
That one was good. I thought that the one I read the one with Crethusa. I thought it illuminated a lot of like what's going on with Crethusa and Marathi and everything.
Yeah, that one, the attempted assassination. That
Yeah.
one was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one was really really good.
Yeah. Okay, so they did do a little write up for us, and this write up is great. It basically just says, hey, here's like the main storyline in fourth ed, And it turns out, yeah, Skaven are very much so incredibly the main villains of Fourth Ed. Um,
Yeah.
so they're Skaven. They're basically these uprooted Skaven centers that they call. What are they calling these things? Um, well, the event is called the Vermin Dune. Uh,
Yeah, it's sections of Blight City that have erupted into the mortal realms from their like pocket dimension, and they've
right,
like sprung up, and then the warp energy needed to make that happen has corrupted the landscape, kind of like Zerg creep, right? It's like
right.
corrupted
The
everything
Gnaw.
around them.
Yeah, the
The Nor
Gnaw.
is now the area of Akshi where the largest section of Blight City has erupted, and it is literally warped and corrupted the land around it. And turned it into this like warp lightning infused barren wasteland.
Yeah.
But this has happened across several realms, so we've been told. And I think this is actually the first time they've actually done this map, which is the actual map of the mortal realms, where you can see where the realms sit, the extra stellar bodies that orbit them, and how they all connect to the 8 points. And you can see they've kind of done this like this reminds me of the Tyranid map, where it's like the galactic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the spread of the Skaven, what
Right,
realms it's touching and which realms it's not touching,
right.
um, and how apparently again they're doing this whole thing of like there's definitely no rats in Azir, like there's no war in Ba Sing Se, like Sigmar's adamant that the rats have not penetrated Azir,
Yeah.
but clearly they definitely will have, and that will at some point come to bear. But it seems like the realms that were most affected were actually Gairan. Um,
Is the green the Skaven?
The green is the Skaven, yeah, because you could see in the middle of the green, they've got the Skaven symbol. That was their pocket dimension,
Oh,
where
got
Blight
it.
City was. Their kind of like sub realm. Interestingly, it hasn't gone or been involved at the 8 points. Like the 8 point, they've sort of skirted around it. I assume because that would be some kind of faux pas with their new allies. Not to not to just. I imagine, like for me, I totally imagine Thankful just erupting Blight City into the 8 points, ripping out Archeon's tower, and just being like, "Me, the king now. This is my 8 points." But I guess he's not. He's not doing that because he's kind of. I guess Archeon is the one that promoted the Horned Rat to godhood, apparently, because that's the thing he's allowed to do. So it would seem a bit rude of him to then go and invade his house.
I
So it
can't.
seems like the fighting's going to be Akshi, and Gairan is going to be the
Yeah.
main center points of where the action's going to be.
Well, we do know that this first season is the Great Parch, right? It's
Yes.
supposed to be taking place in in the Great Parch, which is where Talia got her name, Lioness of the Parch.
Yes.
We get this super cool drawing of or artwork of all five Chaos Gods.
Yeah, I assume this is the art that the gods commissioned to welcome the Horned Rat into their little band. They're like, hey, well now you're on the poster, you're really one of us. By the way, we hate you, but I guess you're here now, so whatever. There's five of us. Five is better than four, and they've put Azir at the bottom, like they wanna gobble up Azir. But that is a nice artwork. I kind of hope Display do that because I would probably buy that and hang that somewhere because that's a cool piece of art.
It is cool. Displate being the metallic-y ones that they do, right?
Yeah, they do the art on the metal. Also, I don't know why Slanesh is trying to lick the Horned Rat. That feels really inappropriate. Like
That seems
that's
about right.
like workplace harassment, though. Like,
I think they're all.
hey,
used to it.
here's the new colleague. Welcome, it's a Horned Rat, and Slanesh is like, let me lick him. You know, that feels wrong.
I think they're all used to it probably.
I suppose, yeah. Who hasn't Slanesh licked? I guess, yeah.
It does mention here that the Skaven are even fighting the forces of chaos, and I mean they're problems for everybody, which is pretty interesting. I think when third edition came out, there wasn't really like this sense of one of the factions was like a mega bad guy and was like the big problem.
In third,
Yeah, is the last time we had this like second edition with the Nighthaunt maybe?
yeah, I mean, third, they were kind of like all of destruction is kind of being annoying, I guess. Yeah, it wasn't really centralized. It was like there's some new orcs now, but also it's just destruction is on the rise or on the ascent. Whereas this feels very much like Skaven have been promoted, and their way to celebrate is just causing absolute chaos, like, and just attacking everything and everyone. Like, yeah, this is, and it's got the big event, right? There wasn't really a big event for third edition apart from Kragnos getting out of his prison.
Yeah.
This is like, there was the Necroquake, which affected everything. Now there's the Vermin Doom, which is affecting everything. So yeah, it feels more like a focus of, yes, the rats are here. Let's celebrate the rats getting their big re-release.
Celebrate the rats, yeah.
Yeah, it's season of the rat or year of the rat, whatever. It's cool. I like it. I like having a central bad guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now listen, folks. We have a poll going. We're gonna dive in here now into the individual factions that got releases in chat. Steven, like I said, has only read the Stormcast one, so it's going to be fun to watch Steven's initial reactions. I've read them all, but I would say I only went deep into the two of these factions that I actually play, which are Gloomspite Gitz and Nighthaunt. I did not go super deep into Stormcast, or actually I did go pretty deep into Stormcast. So we're gonna get and we're gonna take a look and we'll see what we get here. Stephen, welcome by the way to Hobby.
Yeah, thank you. I was just gonna say I would like to thank Stoops for my gifted sub.
Thanks,
feels
Stoops.
Great.
By the way, thank you as always. There you go, one Brit to another.
Yeah, thanks, Stoops. Appreciate it. Now I can watch Monday streams because I usually can't because I'm not, not a member. Now I can watch them. Yay!
Yay. It's going to be exciting to have you there, Steven. Okay, so here we go. Let's chat Stormcast. Steven, this is the one you did read through.
Yeah, of course, because I'm a loyal Stormcast.
You
player,
are.
obviously.
I'm excited. I am excited to when fourth hits to have you piloting the Stormcast more frequently. We haven't had him on stream too much.
They did really well. They did really well at the end of the edition. Like I really like that army that we had. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they are not bad. So give me your initial traits here on new Stormcast.
Yeah, so we'd already seen these. Yeah, we'd already seen these. They previewed these kind of during the event, like the preview event stuff. I think they don't have to pick anymore. They just get to do Sounds of the Storm all the time, which is great. I love that. I think it's flavorful. I'm sure they'll have, a sub faction that focuses more on the protecting the cities and stuff like that. I like that you get a unit back just now as a once per battle. I think that's cool. Like the Heaven Sent ability, I think that's really nice. It does cost you a command point, so it's not fully free, which I think is fair.
Totally fair. And especially we know command points or we've been told command points are going to be fewer and far between than they have been. So it comes at a cost, and the unit is half strength.
Yes, so I think all that's fine. I'm totally happy with that. That was usually. I also like that now it's much broader than it used to be. The reinforcements used to just be the battle line, like the infantry units, like the Redeemers or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I like now that it can be basically any unit or cavalry. I think that's really fun. Opens up a lot more interesting builds. Like I think that's really cool. And then I think the standout is the Finest Hour. Like that's not a thing everyone has anymore. This is now just a Stormcast ability, and it can be on anyone you want. And I think it's free. It's once per turn in your hero phase, so you don't get it in your opponents. But the fact that you can pick any unit and they get +1 to wound rolls and +1 to save rolls for the turn is amazing. It's amazing. This will make some units that seem bad on paper just become absolute wrecking balls.
It's a very good pick a unit, give it +1 to wound and save. Like it feels cool. Yeah. It feels like something you'd see Space Marines would have in 40K right at the start of the edition. It feels like, okay, I need this unit to be better this turn. Boom, here we go.
Yeah, this feels like an ability that an elite army should have, right? That other people don't have. And honestly, this rule might keep Stormcast in the game for the whole edition. That's how powerful this is. I think this could literally keep them around.
Now it is combat attacks, so presumably you're not going to put this turn 1 on your Vanguard Raptors and
no.
Get extra. Maybe they still wound on 2. Who knows?
True, we don't know yet.
But I like seeing this originally. I was like, oh, this is great. This is a great number of battle traits for an army.
Yep.
I'm really happy about this. So, okay, then what we get previewed as far as the sub-faction goes for Stormcast is once
Yeah,
per
the
turn.
new one.
Yeah.
This will be the new. I imagine this will be the new sub faction that they get, the Sentinels of the Bleak Citadels.
Yeah, the
Uh,
Ruination Chamber unit. Now,
yeah,
kind of interesting. Right out of the gate, we're seeing that some of the sub factions, at least here, I mean, this does lean into, if you take this sub faction, it is a suggestion that you want to take a particular units.
yeah, and we don't know how many units are going to be Ruination Chamber. We don't know if there's going to be more. The only ones we've seen right now, they have given the prosecutors the keyword, so they are Ruination Chambers. Same with the new Shield Boys, whatever they're called. I always forget their name. They got a really odd name, but the new dudes that bring their kids to work, have the shields and the axes. Those guys, they're Ruination. And then all the new heroes are Ruination. So I think my read of this is for your heroes more than it is your units. I feel like this is, hey, you've got a hero, they're in the thick of it, give them a 5-up ward to keep them in the action. And I think that's great. And I love that this is also any hero phase, so you can activate this on your opponent's turn as well.
Yes.
So it gives you a way to use it as a reaction. It's also once per turn. Once per turn, any hero phase. So you can kind of use it before they start throwing their spells around, so you've got the ward in case they're going to try and target them down.
Right.
Yeah, this is really good. This is a really good sub-faction ability. Like this is tempting, but for me, it's going to come down to how many new units are we getting in this chamber, and what units are they going to give this keyword to, like switching them over to this chamber, like the prosecutors.
Right.
Will determine if this is a viable thing or not.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah, we don't know everything else. I'm very curious if there's going to be something like getting to put a unit in the Ruination Chamber. I don't know. We'll see. I am loving though the hero phase, boom, this guy Fine Star, boom, this guy Ancient Aura. I like these kind of non-prayer, non-magic hero phase, like boom, just give a guy a thing. Slays to Darkness, have the Sorcerer just passing out a 6-up ward right now. Super cool. I like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's fast. It doesn't require dice rolls. It doesn't require back and forth. It's just like, cool, powering up here.
Very
cool,
simple,
powering up here.
very straightforward. And, well, I mean, if you take this, Stormcast in your hero phase, you're going, okay, that unit's got a 5-up ward, and that unit's got a +1 to hit wound, +1 armor save. So it's like, these buffs are not insignificant. Like, and you're just dishing them out for free. There's no ranges. There's no hero requirements. You don't have to worry about anything. You're just like, that unit's tougher and hits harder. That unit's got a ward save. And it's just like, yeah, go. Like, quick hero phases.
I'll be honest with you guys. I still have not really looked into how prayers exactly work. I every time I read it, I'm like,
it's not hard. It's not hard. It's like, all you do is every priest you roll a dice. If it's a 1, you get blighted by your god. Any other number that goes into your pool, and you keep that number, and then you can spend them to like activate prayers. So if you've got 2 priests, right? So this one, by the way, this prayer is ridiculously good. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of a unit until your next turn. If the chanting roll was 12 plus, you add it to every unit within 12 inches. Every unit within 12 inches gets +1 attack on their profiles. Bonkers good. So let's say you had 2 priests on the board. This is how I think it works. Anyway, from what I've read of this rule, you've got 2 priests. You roll both dice. You do 1 for each. You roll the first one, get a 6. Great. You don't spend it. You just say, okay, that's what I've got. You go to the second priest. You roll the dice. You get another 6. Oh my god, you've got double 6. Amazing. You've now got 12 points. You then pop this, right? And then you spend all your points. The points leave the pool, and now you've triggered this effect.
I think, yeah, and Polly's saying this too. I think Brad also. I think it might be each priest has their own pool though, Stephen. I've heard people saying that, so I'm not sure if they're together or not. Yeah.
No, I thought it was you had a pool, and then you can spend the pool. Each one having their own. That's a lot of micromanagement.
Yeah, I kind of yeah.
Yeah, it would make sense though, I guess.
It also
person chanting to the god, like I get it.
But it would also, sense. I mean, they're all working for the same team here. So it would also make sense that, they share a pool.
No, but I can see why it would encourage builds of like just spamming priest to generate those effects really fast. So I could see it being limited to like specific characters. It's just gonna be something you're gonna have to monitor and something you're gonna have to manage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we get some war scrolls here, including Krondus, son of Dracothian.
Yeah, big dragon boy.
He's pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, 5 control is quite a lot for what we've seen. Typical monster control amount, which is cool. 20 health though, that is a lot of hit points. That is a lot of health.
Yeah.
Move 12, obviously he's a big dragon, he's got wings. And he's got a 3-up save. Scroll down though, I don't think he has a ward, because the wards are always at the bottom now. No, he doesn't have a ward.
You can give him a ward, of course, right? But
of course you can. Well, no, you can't because he's not Ruination.
Oh, that's right. He's not Ruination.
So, yeah, and he has this thing. So you'll see on the attack now, they've got rid of the damage tables. What you'll see now is the attack Apex More has a little skull. And then if he's taken 10 damage, the attack profile goes down to 2. So this is their new way of building in the monsters degrading and stuff like that, which is cool. It's nice and easy and quick. And then, yeah, he gets +2 to his casting roll. So his Regalia Fulmentaris, which is what he always had. He's a wizard 2, so he gets 2 casts, +2 to both. Very nice. Mm-hmm. We like that. Interestingly, he has Raw built in, so it's a rampage.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna see this on other monsters?
Yes. Well, yeah. I think we already have seen it on other monsters.
Well, we've seen a stomp, but I don't know that we've seen. A roar.
Oh, you're right. I don't think we've seen another roar. So yeah, I think this is how it's going to be with monsters. I think the benefit of being a monster now, apart from the big control, is that you get one of these rampage effects. I don't think you're going to pick from a table anymore. I think they're going to be built in, which I think is cool because again, it means monsters having different effects give you different, options for taking different things that do stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, not being able to use commands for the rest of the turn, pretty good. That could come in clutch. And then his spell, which is kind of the version of what he already had, you get to pick one of 3 effects. It's got an 8 to cast, which is quite high. 18-inch range though, which is pretty solid, especially because this guy comes on a literal pie
He's got
plate.
+2, right? So
yeah, he does,
yeah.
And the range is good because his base is massive. So like 18 inches from this guy is actually a pretty decent chunk of the board. And then yeah, the effects are good. You pick one, it's subtract 1 from hit, subtract 1 from Ren, subtract 1 from save rolls. So it's kind of a defensive debuff, but it also can be offensive. You want to give something else a pip of Rend. What I really like about this guy, though, is that he is a kind of a monster in combat. Like, his
stats are pretty intense.
Against infantry, this guy is going to do all sorts of misery. Like, he has Apex More, which is his jaw attacks, 4 attacks, 3s and 2s base, Ren 2, 4 damage a pop. But against infantry, it's Ren 3. So he's just going to run into elite infantry and just eat them. He'll just wreck a unit of elite infantry. And then he's got 6 more attacks as backup. 3s and 2s, Ren 2, damage 2. It's just like, okay, this guy is pretty scary. And they even make a comment below this that he isn't even as killy as Karazai. And they're like, oh, you think this guy's killy? Wait till you see his brother. And so now I'm very interested to see what Karazai does, because this guy, to me, seems like he slaps real good.
Now, worth pointing out, I don't know if you guys have been noticing this, worth pointing out that we've seen, like, the huge list of attacks, the different weapons that a monster has. I think we've been seeing those drop a bit. This guy also used to have, like, a tail attack or something as well, right? Like he's lost one of his weapons, and I feel like we've seen. Yeah,
and it was the one that had like the funky rule to it, right? There was like the tail attack.
It was ability. Like it could be really good, but usually it didn't do anything or something.
Yeah, but I like that they've just standardized him now. It's like, no, you just get 10 attacks because you're a big scary dragon monster. His ranged attack's also good. Like and he could use it in combat.
I'm fully expecting Marathi to go down just to her spear. Maybe her venom, maybe one attack with her venom tail, but we're seeing like monsters. Again, I would not be surprised to see another example be Stonehorns, like just going to their horns, losing the hoof attacks, We're seeing
I agree.
we're seeing a lot of this, which I think is good. And it is actually sort of weirdly, Stephen. We're talking about how good he looks here. I don't have his. I mean, I could pull it up on my phone. His old war scroll, but they're essentially losing weapons, which is kind of good.
Yeah.
Like it's even if you give me more attacks with a different weapon, I'd rather not have to just. There's another stat. It is interesting, but I think we can get this interest with 2 attacks. We don't need 3 or 4 like some monsters have had.
Yep. But again, it's interesting. Like if we go back to that article we started the show with, this is a monster. He hits on 3s.
Immediately
and 2s.
hits on 3s.
So he's immediately breaks the rule. But that's because I think he's a named unique hero monster, right? Again, so I think there are going to be exceptions. But what I like here is that they've consolidated the attacks, but you get a decent number of both of them.
Yeah.
Like the fact that his jaw attack has 4. Usually in 3rd edition, if you had a monster with jaw attacks, they'd usually only get 1, 2. It was very small but very high damage. What I like now is that they make the attacks feel meaningful. Like 4 attacks with that profile, very, very good.
Very good. Now, before we move and chat the Andrasta, I do want to thank both Molecule for gifting a membership and Polly for gifting some memberships. Guys, thank you for the ongoing support. Always appreciate you guys. Been nice seeing you guys, and Polly's been dipping in, hobby hanging a little bit. Been cool to chat with her.
Yeah, I need to get back on that. I've not been in.
Yeah, you got some. You've got a Andrasta to paint. Also, you said here.
I do have an Andrasta to paint. Oh my god, this is a glow up. This is so good.
Yeah.
I hope she's pointed appropriately. Like if she comes in at under like 200, I am like she is getting run all the time because she is a beast. So
where to start?
Scroll back up a sec. Scroll back up. So she keeps a ward. That's great. She doesn't need the ward.
Yep.
Go up a bit more. See her stats. So 8 wounds. Love that. I love a hero with 8 wounds. That feels meaningful. She moves 12. Control 2, save 3. So yeah, great. Loving that. And then weapons. So she did keep 2 weapons, which I think is interesting. She has Thengavar, which is her spear. 3s and 2s, Ren 2, 4 damage. If you fire it at a monster, if you fire it at a monster, it's anti-monster +1 Ren. So she's Ren 3 against monsters.
And it goes to damage 6.
Yeah, and so she has this ability, the Prime Huntress. Double the damage characteristic of this unit's Thengavar for attacks that target monsters. So she's 3s, 2s, Ren 3, 8 damage to a monster. So she throws that spear on the way in, 8 damage, okay, cool. Then she runs in. She's got 2 more attacks with Thengavar. 2s and 2s, Ren 3 because of anti-monster. 6 damage each. So that's another 12 damage. And then she has the Blade of the High Heavens, which is 5 more attacks. 3s and 3s, Ren 2, 3 damage. So she is just pulling apart monsters, right? Like she's absolutely now got a war scroll that reflects the lore she's always had of. This is the lady Sigmar sends out to literally kill any monster.
I mean, she would have wrecked Krondis right above.
She would annihilate Krondis. Oh my god! Enjoy your 6-up save, Dragon Boy, and then
I know,
like, you're
this
dead
is wild.
now.
It might.
Yeah, she would kill Krondis in 1 round of combat, no question.
The Reds with the anti-Ren seems maybe like too much. Like,
no, but like this is what I like about this anti keyword, right? Because it means that okay, against elite infantry, like she runs into some Varangard or whatever, she's still good. She's still okay.
2 red. I know.
Yeah, like Ren 2, 3 damage, like great, that's a good profile. But like when she goes into a monster, she really powers up. Like she doubles her damage and she gains the extra Ren. Like Ren 3 on even monsters this is gonna make your Stonehorns quiver in fear if you see Andrasta, because she will just fire across the board like a missile and blow one up. No, even with your ward, I'd be like, those ward saves are gonna have to be hot to survive her.
She's wild, yeah.
She is crazy good.
So and people are like, well, we don't know because things are in a vacuum, and we haven't, we've seen Krondis, who's pretty intense. We haven't seen Stonehorns. We haven't seen what's another really famous meaty monster out there.
I mean, like a anything from
zombie dragon. We haven't seen a zombie dragon.
Yeah, zombie dragon. Carnosaurs.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So we don't know. Maybe wounds are going up. I don't know how much that's going to help against this, but blood. Yeah.
I mean,
Tom
we saw
points out
wounds kind of creep up in
Bloodthirster.
3rd edition, right? Oh my god, she will wreck a Bloodthirster. Are you kidding me? Like
I think so. I think yeah.
Bloodthirster, she will obliterate a Bloodthirster in combat.
Well, yeah, yeah. We have seen Nagash's scroll. Yeah, she'd wreck Nagash. I mean, she's maybe crazy. Okay.
But that's not all though. That's not all though. She has one more rule that I think is worth talking about.
Oh right,
So she has the Wings of Brilliance, which is what the prosecutors are also getting.
right.
So she rolls 3 dice for charging. So it's not like you reduce one. She just rolls 3 dice for charging. She's just charging across the board. So she moves 12s, rolls 3 dice. Love to see it. Like, what's that? Average 11. So she's going 23 inches for her combat. Like, that's a pretty good threat range.
Yeah.
And then her other ability is you ignore negative modifiers to the control scores of friendly Stormcast that are wholly within 12 inches of her. So we will see it when we get to Nighthaunt, but I think modifying the control stat is going to be a new mechanic that we're going to see a lot from different armies.
Yep.
Manipulating it, increasing it sometimes, decreasing it in others. She just makes your Stormcast immune to that. And I think that's great, because I think, Stormcast are going to be elite. I think this is an important role that she can play in the army.
I'm guessing it's going to be a mechanic we see in Death Armies a lot.
Yeah, I think so.
Screwing with control.
Yep.
In lieu of bravery things or
yes,
whatever.
It's going to be how you showcase the fear stuff. Is
Yeah.
going to be you lose the ability to hold points. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But yeah, she is great. 10 out of 10 Yndrasta.
Yeah, she looks wild. Okay, then we get the Knight Arcanum. He
Yeah,
is,
not much has really changed here, right?
Yeah. Kind
He's got the basic profile for a Stormcasty hero.
Yeah.
3/3 rend 1d3 damage. Like, okay.
Yeah, he's fine. Anti-manifestation, kind of interesting. I will also point out here we see our first. He's got no War Scroll spell. He is a wizard, no War Scroll spell.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong. All your wizards know all the spells from their lore, right? Like that's just now a universal thing when you choose your lore, so you just know all the spells. So, I think that's why you'll see a lot of these lower to the ground, like smaller wizards won't have spells.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I do like the lore seeker ability, because now obviously everyone will take a manifestation lore. So in the new edition, if you don't already know, you will always get a manifestation lore for free. So if you don't own some endless spells, maybe look at picking some up for factions you want to play, or picking up the universal ones, because you do get to just take one for free now. They don't cost points, so you will get one of the manifestation laws. And this character has certain benefits against manifestation laws. So they get +1 to casting rolls when summoning them, and to banishing them, which is kind of nice. And manifestations cannot pass through her or move near her. And she has a 4-up ward against mortals inflicted by manifestations.
Yeah.
So she might actually be a very good tech piece, because now everyone is going to have manifestations if they're taking wizards in their army.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she hasn't always been an awesome unit, but maybe it will be here, which is great. Now you're a little skeptical on Annihilators.
Yeah, I'm sad that they lost their impact hits. So they retained their deep strike impact hits. So when they come down, 3 units within 10 on a 2-up take D3, I'm like, okay, that was never really the damage dealer. The damage dealer was when they charged, they would do impact hits based on their charge roll, much like ogres and other things like cavalry. They don't have that anymore. Now they got brace for impact, which is when they get charged. You roll a dice for every model in the unit, and on a 6, they give out Strike Last, which is good. Strike Last is good.
Not reliable. Not reliable. But
no, on a unit of 3.
You're getting charged, so it's sort of like, it's not like you're charging and hoping for fight first, like Nighthaunt, or at least like Nighthaunt are in this edition. Instead, It's like, oh, I'm about to get charged. Well, hey, just a reminder, you could charge me here and have fight last.
Yeah, but even if they fight last, like, okay, well, what you're going to be taking before you get to attack is 9 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1/2 damage with nothing, and I'm like, that doesn't. I don't know about these guys. Like, they've got 3 wounds. They're only control 1 as well, which is really interesting. Like, these are an elite infantry unit, and they're only control 1, so you're only control 3 for this unit. The only thing for me, I'm like, maybe rend isn't going to be as prevalent, and so a 2-up native armor save might feel really good. You can't finest hour these guys unless they're already on the board, so they can't come down and then be finest houred to get the 1-up. So yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical about these guys. They don't feel like they're gonna do a lot. Now there's no WYSIWYG in Sigmar. They've made it very clear that you can just build the models however you want.
Yeah.
So now I feel like any of these guys are just gonna end up being surrogates in Grand Hammer units just to make the unit look different.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Yeah, the 2-up save, of course, is like a thing, but you'd want to see maybe higher control with that, and who knows? Maybe there's a way to do that. There might be a prayer that bumps control.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a sub-faction that buffs paladin units, do they still have that keyword actually?
No.
No, so they only have infantry champion. So they've got rid of the paladin keyword, which is really interesting. So yeah, I don't know what keyword they would work with now.
No, I mean, I think I will say this, and Tom points it out. Yeah, with everybody now being able to do a counter charge in your opponent's turn, if there's 3 of these guys, that's a 50% chance that you're charging them and getting a fight last. I mean, it's going to make a lot of people think about charging them.
Is it? Would you care? Like, if I'm like, okay, I've got my hammer unit. Oh no, they might be strike last on a very low chance, and then I'm going to get hit with some okay-ish attacks. I don't know if I'd care enough to not charge. Yeah,
obviously, we'll have to see how much that costs, but to be honest with you, they're very interesting maybe in groups of 6. If they come in 3s, huh?
Yeah, they're unit of 3. Yeah, a unit of 6, it means that the strike last is probably going to happen because it's 1 in 6, so you on averages you do get it. But then I'm like, how many points have you invested into this 6 control unit of dudes that don't do much on the backswing? Like,
right.
Yeah, I'd be very interested.
These guys. We need to see where they're going with these guys.
Also, one more thing on these. What's interesting about this unit is their 2 rules kind of want you to play them in different styles. Because one of them is Blazing Impact, where you want small units so you can do multiple drops to do the impacts, right?
Right.
The other rule wants you to take them as a big blob so you guarantee the strike last, and they compete. And that's interesting that they have 2 rules that don't synergize at all. They pull you in different directions.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And we don't know if there's going to, previously or currently these guys can do like a 7-inch deep strike. We don't know if there's going to be that. So there's, are they still dropping down, doing a charge, killing some stuff, and then sitting here and now they're scary and tough? They're
maybe
tough.
So maybe maybe there's a guy that gives it okay, maybe they don't have it on here because we're not seeing the full picture, because maybe there's now a hero that when you deploy a unit from Scions of the Storm, they can do a charge at 7 and they do impact hits when they do it, right? So it's kind of like whatever, I mean, this is called Blazing Impact, but like if there's a way that you can give them the charge impact hits and that what we're not seeing here, so it's not on the scroll, then I'm like, okay, they might still have that value then.
So I think they're probably going to be interesting, but we have to see some other pieces for sure. Okay, they chat a little bit about Spearhead. They had this nice and all these this from the studio, which I really appreciated. When you read the from the studio on all these, most of them give you like a little more insight into something.
Yeah.
You're like, oh wow, that's actually pretty good. Or they'll give you a little teaser about something they didn't really cover. So for Stormcast, actually, I don't really think that super happens. They do talk about save characteristics or 3-up across the board with, other than like Ether Wings. They chat a little bit about Spearhead. They're getting a second Spearhead. That's cool. There's Yndrastas.
I'm going to have both of these, so I'm excited to try both of them out in Spearhead.
Yeah.
They're both pretty cool.
Yeah, we won't go into all the Spearhead stuff too much today. But if nothing else, you can glimpse maybe some ideas of what War Scrolls could be looking like in the full game. Because
yeah, the Prosecutor one's pretty similar. I don't think it's much different. Yeah.
Okay, this takes us to everyone's favorite Ratman, the Skaven. Now, you haven't looked at this one too much, right?
No, I did a quick skim through. Again, we'd already seen the battle traits, I think, so it talks about the gnaw holes and stuff like that. But yeah, and I looked at Screech's scroll, but I don't think I went any further.
Gnawhole is a big thing. Gnawholes are a big thing. If you
Yeah, you deploy them like trees now, don't you? You sort of put them down during the game.
Yeah, and you could bring new ones back as well. If they
But
get
they are destroyable now.
they're
Like, you can
very
blow them up.
they're quite destroyable.
Yeah.
I think they have 6 health or something.
Yeah, and like a 4-up save or something.
Yeah, they show it. They show the sheet down here. Um, okay, it looks like just about anything in Skaven can be set up in Deep Strike, what we were calling
Yep.
Deep Strike.
Yep.
If you've lost a Gnawhole, you can essentially return a Gnawhole once per battle at the start of the battle round. So you can't endlessly replace your Gnawholes, but you can replace one. They have this. They don't take mortals when they retreat. We've seen now that when you retreat, you're going to take D3 mortals. So Skaven won't have to deal with that. Let's see. Oh, the 3 claw steps ahead was pretty interesting, which is that they can move in the enemy hero phase, which is quite good.
Yeah, I think this is a really powerful ability.
Yeah.
Like, this makes the objective game so tricky, and I love this. This is such a Skaven-y rule. Yeah, I really like how thematic these feel. Also, reading this, the Skaven Lurking Vermintide thing, could you just deploy your entire army in reserve? Like, it doesn't say you have to have units on the board.
The Stormcast had a condition for theirs, didn't they? It was like for everyone on the board, one can be off the board.
Yeah, it does have a condition. I don't know if that's what it was. There you go.
More, yeah.
Yeah, if there are more on the battlefield, so you have to kind of do one off, one on, one off.
Yeah.
Which is what they had before. But yeah, Skaven are just like, just put your whole army in tunnels.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I mean, it thematically it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the battle formation.
I think their rules are really good. Their battle traits. I think they're very flavorful.
Yeah, the battle formation they give us is gonna feel. Oh man, I can't wait to see Brad using this battle trait.
I can't wait to see Brad blow up a bunch of his units.
Yeah. Up to
he will definitely run this one. Like, there is no question in my mind. He's running this.
For Brad, he can inflict D3 mortals on up to 3 of his units. For other players, they can probably do that, but potentially +1 attacks and also potentially +1 attacks and a 5-up board. The risk reward here is kind of out of control. So
you are rolling this every turn.
You're rolling this for all 3.
My ogres and your abominations, you're just rolling this dice. This is just happening every turn.
This is wild. The risk reward is out of control in this.
I love this. I love all of this.
Yeah.
So Skaven-y.
Yeah. Okay.
And that, again, it's interesting. That one's also only in your hero phase, so you don't get it in your opponent's.
Right.
But their effect is till the start of your next turn. So it does apply. If you do get it, it does apply until your next turn. So you're always gonna do it. You're always gonna be doing this. Like, yeah, I love this. This is such a great. If you're gonna lean into the moldery stuff,
it looks
the
fun.
rat ogres, the abominations,
it looks fun.
What are the big ones called? The big with guns.
Storm
fiends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Okay, we see the Warp Lightning Vortex. Brad loves his Warp Lightning Vortex, so this is fun.
Yeah.
Whenever Brad explains his Warp Lightning Vortex to me, I usually start to nod off. And
yeah, it's still kind of complicated.
Still, same here. I'm pretty much just nodding off as I'm reading this.
Basically, you put a piece down at 18 inches away, then you put 2 more pieces down 7 inches equidistant from that piece, making a triangle, and that's it. That's all you do.
And then it's like, oh, it does this much damage if you're near this much damage if you're near this. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna go near it, and if you cast it on me, I'm gonna get out of it or whatever.
Well, yeah. What I like though as well is that it doesn't get to trigger when it's played. So it doesn't, like, people used to use it as like an alpha strike in people's armies. They would just throw it down and it immediately would just start wrecking face.
Mm-hmm.
If it was not set up this turn, then you get to do the roll on a 4+, it does D3. Before it just used to happen. Now there is a turn delay. So you can react to it. You can deal with it or get out of the way. It does have a 6-up ward though. Like, this thing has a ward save.
Which is funny, right? It's got a 6-up save. 6-up save, 6-up ward, and 7 health.
Wounds. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Yeah.
But it does damage, and it also reduces your run and charge rolls. and inflicts D3 more wounds if you end a move near it,
But
which is kind of like, this thing is kind of scary.
seeing this now, though, I think we can kind of start to see what we're going to be looking at when we look at a Kron Spine. Obviously, not everything, but we can see a Kron Spine is going to be similar to this. This kind of setup, right? It's probably gonna be way better.
That thing's totally losing its health mechanic, though, right? Like, it's free now. Like, it has to lose that ability. There's no way that can stay.
Yeah, I'm
it just
sure.
has to have, like, 10 wounds.
Yeah,
right?
it's probably
10
gonna
wounds
it's probably gonna have like 10 health and a 4, whatever, right? And do its stuff. We'll see, but it's cool to see this happening, right?
Yeah, I think giving them health and saves just makes it a lot cleaner and a lot easier to understand. Like, you know what you got to do. You can dispel it. You can kill it. You know, it makes it a lot easier, I think, to sort of understand as a mechanic and as a concept, because it shares the same stats as everything else that you're playing with.
Now, keeping in mind, speaking of killing it, as we look at every monster now, be thinking about how easily this monster is destroyed by Andrasta. So here's...
wait, hang on, go down, because he has a ward, right? He's got a 5-up ward.
He's got a 5-up ward.
But he does only have 13 wounds.
Yeah.
Which she does fairly comfortably.
Yeah, she almost does 13 wounds in the shooting phase. So, okay, so here is Lord Screech. This is cool to see. Again, his attack down to 1 profile. Previously, I think he has at least 2 currently. He's gone down just to his glaive.
He gets 7 attacks with it, though, and they're good attacks. Like...
Sixes are 2 hits. Ren 2, 3 damage. He has a spell, which is just mortal wound. It's the one he currently has. It's I do mortal wounds and clan rats come back or whatever. And then
no, for each you get to choose, right? Yeah, you can do 1 mortal wound to a target, or you can return a model to a friendly clan rats unit within 13.
Yes.
So it's kind of like Nagashi, how they've done Nagashi's spell, kind of similar.
And you could parcel it out, I guess.
Yeah, you can choose for each 5.
Yeah. So then he has like a monster, a rampage ability, right? So we're seeing this show up on monsters. His is no command for the rest of the turn, and it also screws with the control score of the.
Well, this only targets infantry, right?
Only infantry. And so 3+. So it's like a fancy roar that screws up control as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Like, Super Roar is pretty nice.
And then he's got this like a menu here of things he can do at the start of his or in your hero phase that lasts until the start of your next turn. This is cool.
Yeah, you can only pick 1 per battle, so you're gonna go through all of them. More or less. Or 5 of them. There's 6.
Yeah, which is cool. We're seeing this. I'm digging the, like, here's a guy, do your thing, right?
I'm really surprised to see all of the clans still. I am shocked. I thought they might consolidate some or get rid of some to, like, make the book leaner and bring the range in line, but they're all there. Master Clan, Verminus, Scryer, Eshin, Pestilence, and Mulder. Still all represented.
Thematically all there. And yeah, Polly actually points out that the spell is we're saying it incorrectly, Steven. It's actually even better. For each 5+, you get to do both those things. Inflict a mortal wound and return.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, so yeah, you're right. I don't know why I thought it was pick. But yeah, you get to do both. Oh wow. I guess it is quite short range though. 13 inches isn't a super long range.
It's short range. 5-up is probably 4 or 5, maybe 6. So it's not bad. Maybe. It's not bad though.
No, it's good. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah.
He doesn't get any plus to cast though, does he anymore? So he's and you only get 1 spell. So
he doesn't. We're not seeing a lot of plus to cast, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Trondus and I don't think I'm not even sure Nagash had a plus to cast. Okay, then he might have. Then we've got Rat Ogres, which people are excited about. They're pretty straightforward.
I'm kind of surprised they only have 4 wounds, honestly, full health. I thought they'd have more than that.
Same. We're seeing a low control score, kind of interesting. Again, not designed to sit on objectives.
Yep. Good profile though.
You get 1 warp fire gun for every 3. I think that's fair. It's a okay gun. It's not really what they're for. And then it's a decent profile, and they can get +1 attacks. They can also get +2 attacks. I'm trying to think how they get that. Second attack is from
Oh, it's from the Molder ability.
the Molder ability, right?
So
So
they could have 7 attacks each, which is terrifying.
which is 21, 4, 3, -1, 2 damage. Yeah, it's good.
Yep. Yep. I'm sure the Master Molder will do something to them that will also buff them in some way. So like, yeah, I think that feels like a War Scroll that's designed to absorb buffs. Like they want to be buffed up a bunch, right?
Yes.
They want to be powered up.
The Warp Lightning Cannon has not really changed, has it?
No.
There's a lot of this going around where you look at a War Scroll and everything's kind of explained differently. Maybe a number here the range has dropped 4 inches. A number here or there changes a little bit, and it's being presented in a different way. But more or less, the Warp Lightning Cannon has not changed. It's absolutely gone. If anything, it has gone better. And kind of interestingly, if the way it's described here is if a clan scryer hero is within 6 inches, it doesn't have a choice. It has to shoot 6 more shots, and then each one is D3 mortal wounds. So it's going to be shooting 2d6.
Yeah, you shouldn't get a choice. This is Skaven. There's no choice. You do the stupid thing and you go.
This is gonna help speed up games with Brad though, which is gonna be good.
Yeah.
He's gonna have no choice.
This thing has got worse though, because now you have to roll to hit.
But that's it. That's all you do.
But you never had to do that before.
Well, what was it? What did it do mortals on?
You rolled to see what power it was.
You did that.
And then you rolled a number of dice. Like now, and so you wanted to roll the 1 because then you rolled 2d6 and everything was a mortal wound, so you would do 12 more wounds.
Well, so now it's
now you roll to see how many hits you get, and then you roll to see if they hit.
So it's interesting, right? No. You just roll. Yeah, exactly. So you roll 2d6 shots, 2d6 plus 6. If you're near a clan scryer hero, that's a lot actually. That's like 13.
Yeah, but you're only hitting with half of them. But it is still a lot. Like I think it's probably going to be more consistent now. I think
more consistent. That said, I mean you will wreck yourself quickly. Two rounds with a clan scryer hero is how much shooting you get with this, probably on average.
Yep.
If you shoot this thing twice with a clan scryer hero, you're gonna kill it. It's gonna blow up. You can, there's all out attack is still a thing, so you can get the mortals to happen on 3. Worth pointing out.
You definitely Filippo just posted in chat you absolutely all out attack with this thing.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, so
this is good.
It's good. Okay, then we get the Gnaw Hole, and I think this at the time was the first faction terrain thing we've seen. Pretty fragile. I'm guessing the Gnaw Hole is one of the more fragile ones. It's pretty much a hole with some planks around it that, witch elves could just tear down if they got near it. And I think a lot of what makes the Gnaw Hole special is just, it seems paramount to how the army is going to work.
Yeah.
You really have to have this kit. I hope they stocked up.
The volatile grab thing is kind of scary.
It's the opposite of what you want to... Currently, you want to get near this thing.
Yeah.
Now you kind of don't anymore.
Yeah, but you got to get close to kill it. So,
right.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's a lot. That could be a lot of damage. I guess it can't, because they've done this now. They word this in a way where it's you roll a d3 and on a 2+ you applied that amount of wounds to speed up the rolling process. So you only roll 1 dice now, but I always see a 2+ it flicks damage. I'm like, oh my god, that could be 6 damage. It can't.
Right. It could be, yeah. It's probably gonna be 2 or 3, and it could be 1. This is now Skaven players have wanted this. You can bring things back.
Yep. Once per turn as well. Once per turn.
Once per turn.
But at the end of your turn, so it can't be, again, the way they word this, it's once per turn at the end of your turn. So it isn't actually once per turn.
Yeah.
Because it's once per your turn, but I guess that's just how they want to word it.
Then it has its, teleporting Skaven around the battlefield. It is absolutely going to be kind of a teleporting movement shenanigans army with all the Gnaw Holes. But the null holes are. I mean, who know? Again, we haven't seen a lot. But what have we seen? What shooting units have we seen? I think some units are going to be able to just shoot a null hole off the table in one turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see.
But then you shoot in null holes and not units, so Skaven are probably still happy. You just get to bring, you can deploy 5 null holes. Do you get to deploy 1 in deployment? So you've always got 1 on the board?
I think you get to deploy all 3. Oh wait.
No, you don't anymore. You don't. No, go up. It's in the
rules.
Main rules. Yeah. So set up a null hole on the battlefield more than 9 small enemy units once per battle round. Start the battle round.
Oh, so you're building them. Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't think you deploy any of them at the start of the game. I think now you deploy them as the game goes along. But might need more clarity on that.
Interesting.
But yeah, they're very good.
Yeah, I think in their extra stuff, I feel like with both the Stormcast and the Skaven one, they don't mention a lot of other units. They do talk about null holes being important.
Yeah, so it says there, rather than setting up 3 at the start, you set them up constantly throughout the game.
Got it.
So yeah.
Oh, that's gonna really mean that you're always gonna have at least 1 up.
Yeah.
Because you can bring 1 back also, so you're gonna set up 1 turn 1, and really I don't know. I could see it being vulnerable to if an army has enough shooting or has enough of something. That's kind of the thing. Like, you don't need a ton to take one of these out.
Makes it risk reward for how many units you're deploying, right? Because you can only bring 1 unit out every turn. So like, if you've got all your army hiding in null holes and you've only got 1 null hole on the board, it's like it's gonna make it tricky.
And there's some sentinels you're never getting to anytime soon.
Yeah.
Again, they're not shooting a unit, but they could be log jamming your army. Okay, Skaven look cool. I think that
Skaven look cool.
I think it looks fun. This takes us to an army you and I both play. Gloomspite Gitz. Yes. So Steven of course plays trolls. I play Spiderfang. I kind of had a hunch Spiderfang wouldn't get much coverage here, although it got all I needed was that it's a movement shenanigan army, which I of course am very excited about. Okay, they talk a little bit about the usual flavor stuff here. Worth reading. Battle traits. Okay, so the Bad Moon is a thing. And to be honest with you, Steven, not a lot has changed here with the Bad Moon. It's the same abilities, depending on if you're a Squig, a basic Night Goblin, a Troll, or a Spiderfang. I don't think anything has changed except for the Moon Clan. You add 3 to the unit's control score. The trolls are the same. Yeah, so I think most of the spiders are the same. The moon does, I think, work a little different. Not really, actually.
No, you must use the ability to start the battle round. If it's the first battle round, pick a quarter. If it's second on a roll of dice, 1 to 3 it stays. 4. No, it's the same.
It's the same. So,
So that's their only battle trait, right? Interesting. They just have the moon. That's it.
They have pretty much the moon. Yeah.
Right. I mean, the moon is good, but
yeah. So Squigalanche, the Squigalanche battle formation, gives their fang-filled. It's like their bite, right? The Squig bite.
Right. So the Squig, the Squig get the +1 attack.
The +1 attack.
Okay.
If it charges.
Yeah, love that.
And then after that, they go straight into
Lore of the Clammy Dank. That's disgusting.
Yeah. Now they do describe the other battle formations. They say swarms of Spiderfang riders, tough herds of trolls, and teeming legion of mad grots. So
cool, okay.
You're kind of teching into either Moon Clan on foot, I guess, trolls, or spider riders. Yep. Okay. Sneaky D. This is one of my favorite spells. Now, I'm very curious about lores. The Goblin one has me curious about lores. Because it's a number of things, including the wording. they talk about lore of the Clammy Dark. Sneaky Distraction is currently a Spiderfang lore spell in the current book.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have consolidated them down to like two major laws.
Yeah.
'Cause everyone will know it and everyone can use it, so it's going to be a choice of, do you want shenanigans or do you want something else?
When we get to Nighthaunt here in a minute, you're going to see that in Nighthaunt they say they don't say all Nighthaunt have this one lore, but it's worded in a way that says Nighthaunt channel the lore of the underworlds. Here
Right, so
they say
maybe
those
multiple.
who channel. So I'm guessing there's going to be multiple lores, like you're saying.
Yep. I imagine it's not more than 2, though. I don't think they're going to have like 1 per sub-faction or anything.
And that's what they have now, right? They have one for Spider Fang and one for
Yeah.
Moon Clan.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe Clammy Dank is kind of the spider themed one. It is interesting though, like if I'm leaning more into spiders and all my wizards are web spinner shamans, can I take the Moon Clan one? Whatever the Moon Clan.
I think you will be able to, yeah, because I think now you always get to take one lore, and the lore is everyone knows the whole lore. So I think now the choice is going to be, which lore do you want to take advantage of? And I imagine it's a moon lore and a Clammy Dank lore, right? It's going to be lore of the bad moon, lore of the Clammy Dank, and they'll both give you. Oh, well, it wouldn't surprise me if the spells are the same. They've just shifted them to balance them out, so it makes a choice. Just makes it a tactical choice which one you take.
Okay, not surprisingly, we're getting a lot of heroes front and center.
The Loon King.
Yeah, I think there's a case to be made that he has gone worse in a number of ways, but I don't think it's in a vacuum. We don't really know.
Well, I like that you just choose the location. That's fine. The once per battle.
He still does his moon thing.
He still has his fangs, which is great.
Its casting value has gone from a 4 to a 7. Kind of doesn't matter.
No, you kind of want the high roll anyway.
Right, exactly.
It makes it harder to dispel. So
yeah, I did not see this as a problem.
No.
Okay. Oh, this is different. Yeah. So this only works for a Moon Clan, which is that if you use redeploy and you get a 1 to 3. You can treat it as having rolled a 4 instead. That's really useful.
I mean, that's pretty good because I always roll a 1
that's
with redeploy.
all anybody ever.
So.
That's really all anybody
This is
rolls.
really great. So this is amazing.
It's one of the best.
So he's lost his +1 to cast then.
Looks like it.
Sad.
Yeah, and also
Does he have his ward still?
He does still have a ward of 4. I've been taking him in my Spiderfang army. He's a little bit less useful for me in it now. He also doesn't have a bad moon radius here, or at least we don't see it here on his war scroll.
You're right, he doesn't. They got rid of the wand the moon on a stick.
So I'm kind of like, okay, fine. That's just probably a couple 100 points for me to buy more spiders. So that's fine.
Yeah, he's definitely taken a bit of a nerf in there.
Yeah, he does a little less than he used to. I think that's okay. Gobapalooza, by contrast, actually, for me thinking about my spider army, actually can help my spider army now. They kind of changed it weirdly. It is a Moon Clan unit, but all of its effects now just affect Gloomspite Gitz units. Which
is everyone, right?
Which is everyone. So Gobapalooza kind of weirdly, I think they've also taken a nerf.
I love that their ward gets worse as the drugs wear off.
Yeah, yeah. So they're on drugs and they've got their ward. And then it's pretty simple. It's like a modern prayer. Modern meaning our current edition, 3rd ed. You roll a die, and on a 3+, they get one of these things, which is either +1 to run and charge, +1 to rend, or
pick an enemy
unit can't use commands. Yeah.
You have to be within combat range for the other 2, so you have to be within 3 inches for those other 2 effects. So pretty short range.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. Combat, sort of weird. You're picking a friendly unit, and then they use the term combat range, which I guess is 3 inches.
Yes, it's 3 inches.
It's sort of weird that they don't just say 3 inch. I guess it's okay. It's just kind of interesting choice of how they word it. But
yeah,
I think I actually think that these guys are, if they're cheap, they're going to be good. But they're kind of not that great anymore.
No.
Which is too bad because I know several Gloomspite players who bought 2 to 3 boxes of them. And,
Things change.
but I will say for me, for goblins, I'm kind of cool because now I can access them. Currently, I think they only affect Moon Clan units. But
Yeah,
these,
I think opening them up, I think, is interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think there
Adding
is,
one to run in charge rolls is kind of nice for trolls. I'd take that.
yeah,
+1 to charge rolls, pretty good.
Rend characteristic for trolls, not bad. I mean,
Yeah, they've got rend.
but then you really have Rend to get through all
True.
those fight last annihilators. You're gonna be.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah, I do like that they're making every war scroll just fit on a single thing. I do like this. I
Yeah.
like this consolidation.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It looks fine. We'll have to see. Clearly, they're not as insane as they were this edition.
No.
Okay, the Squig Herd, kind of the same thing. I think the Squig Herd, they've essentially turned them into zombies. When they die, they do a mortal and a 5-up. They can't control.
Oh yeah, that makes sense because there's no bravery anymore, so they can't pop
They can't
like they
do
used to anyway.
their crazy thing. And then they have a recursion mechanism.
Yep.
Which is going to be good until it's not, because you're going to lose Squig Herders throughout the game. If something doesn't just pick this unit up, if this unit's getting picked away at, you will be losing these Squig Herders for sure.
Yeah, the way to kill these now is to shoot them. They've also got 1 wound now, right? They used to have 2 wounds each, so I think that's a dramatic shift.
Yeah.
This unit, when it was maxed out, was a nightmare at 2 wounds each. They were just so hard to chew through.
Very hard to chew through. You wanted to force the morale.
Yeah.
It was a great way to kill them, but then you suffer the consequences of that if you were in melee with them. Yeah, probably another nerf, so to speak. But again, hard to feel that way without knowing points, without knowing the rest of the book.
I feel like now it's probably closer in line to what its role is meant to be as a screen that's hard to get through like zombies, as opposed to a unit that does more damage than the actual combat units because of how mechanics work. So I think this is a nerf, but I think it's a nerf that makes sense, that makes the unit feel like it should. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Do you guys ever, Steven and folks at home, do you guys ever have an example of something where you think people are using a phrase or a name and not understanding the full implications of that? So Squigs Gone Wild is an interesting title. I mean, that clearly comes from Girls Gone Wild, exploitive amateur pornography, popular in the noughties and the aughts. And I just don't know if whoever named this ability over at Nottingham understands the full implications of the name.
No, I mean, that is such a dated reference now that I don't think it's relevant in
wildly dated, but also, I bet if somebody brought it up to whoever came up with the name, they'd lick another crack at it.
Yeah, I guess an alternative could be Show Us Your Squigs, could also be an alternative to this ability.
Show us your squigs. Yeah, I'm just sort of weirded out. I saw that, I was like,
actually that should be if herding squigs was called Show Us Your Squigs, and then it was Squigs Gone Wild and Show Us Your Squigs, then I'd be like, okay, someone is doing something here.
Yeah, then I'm back into it.
If we're leaning into it, then I'm like, okay, great.
It feels like it's on purpose. This doesn't feel like it's on purpose. It feels like they forgot what they were referencing, right? Okay, the Bad Moon does kind of the Bad Moon thing.
Yeah, this is a moon on a stick still, which is good.
Moon on a stick, and also returns things. The things that returns are, I guess these are the same conditions that it had previously. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, now it's just it
3 inches, and it's just it just happens. It's also 3 inches.
It used to be on a 4+.
Was it? It wasn't always 3 inches from enemy unit. It was 9 inches. So now.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, it is the end of your turn, and we think we're moving into a world where double turns are not quite as exciting, but I think if you're near this thing, there's a good chance that something you don't want to have popping out within 3 inches of you is popping out 3 inches of you.
That's the whole point, right? You're literally at their doorstep. Like, why would they not pop out of their doorstep and murder you? Like, you're right there.
I'm just seeing, I think shooting is going to be so attractive in this addition to
I think that's why we've seen the ranges go down
ranges go
dramatically,
down. Yeah,
because as soon as you make terrain killable with shooting, you have to, like, if you could just shoot this from across the board, like, why even bother?
I
Like,
mean,
it's only got 14 wounds. Like,
right.
this goes down in a round of shooting or two maybe.
Of course, we're gonna see things change. Now, sorry, we should mention, Steven. It does just happen, but it does cost a CP to bring things back.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Yeah, which I think is I like that more as a cost, because then it's a choice I'm making rather than it being a random roll and
Right,
it being
right,
luck
right.
based. I think that's fine.
Yeah. We haven't seen a lot of shooting unit stats yet, but so we know ranges are dropping. We've seen it a little bit, but Skaven, for example, I mean, 2 warp fire cannons 20 inches out from this thing can take it out in 1 turn.
Hey, if you're shooting this with warp lightning cannons, I'm a happy Trog player.
Fair,
Like,
fair,
that sounds great.
Fair. Okay, I think that's it. Now they do talk about. I was excited. They say movement shenanigans with Arachnaroks and Spider Riders. So they don't show a lot of trolls. They don't show a lot of anything other than Moon Clan stuff, and not even, and really just Squig stuff. They do show trolls in Spearhead, and
Yeah.
like we were saying, we think for the most part, a lot of the basic stats seem like they're going to be the same.
Yep, 5 health, 4 save, 2 control is nice. The stone maul hitting on 2s is pretty scary.
The Stone Maul wounds on 2s.
Wounds on 2, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, these guys are not accurate, right? The rock hits on 5s when they throw it, and the Stone Maul hits on 4.
Oh yeah, the rock being an actual shooting attack now and not just a mortal wound thing is pretty interesting.
That's a theme we're seeing, actually. There's a little bit
Right.
less of that, actually. Just like,
So it feels like mortal wound output's gone down a bit, you think?
yeah, it looks like it.
Interestingly as well, going back to what we were talking about with the Gloomspite, I mean, this is the spearhead, but they don't have the Gloomspite Git keyword. They just have infantry and ward. But I don't know.
I
Keywords
think
might be
they
different.
will. I think that's a spearhead thing.
That's just spearhead thing. Okay,
I think so. Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they'll have it. Yeah. Otherwise, we can't say for sure that this is what the Rockgut Trogoth stat will look like. In the full game, but it's probably pretty similar.
Yeah, it's alarming number of nerfs though there, honestly. Everything seemed to take a bit of a hit, or maybe it's just the ones they've shown.
Hard to
yeah. It's hard to judge, yeah, but it'll be I mean, they definitely Scragrot was a problem. They didn't really know what to do with him the whole edition. He changed points every week.
Yeah.
The Squig Herd, I think, was obnoxious and needed changing, as probably Gobblepalooza. So maybe they just showed the ones that they were going to be interesting to show people. Yes, we did change these things because they needed to be tempered. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for them still.
Same. Okay, so we've got Nighthaunt, last but not least here.
Spooky booze.
Spooky ghost stuff. Now, they retained almost all of their battle traits. They're still ethereal, 4-up invons, as we called them. In the
I love that they're like, everyone is a ghost except for Nagash. He's not a ghost.
Yeah, no, not for Nagash.
That's great.
I love Nagash getting a call out in a
Yeah. We know what you're doing, players, and we're not about that. You're not bringing Nagash to be ethereal, you scumbags.
Discorporate. Now,
the 5-up ward. Yep.
Okay, now
CP.
Before we look at Shriek, Stun, and Petrify, we want to check out Wave of Terror. This is sort of interesting. Friendly Nighthaunt units that are in combat can use charge abilities this phase. And my understanding, of course, is that a charge ability includes charge. Charging is a charge ability.
Yes.
However, if a unit that is in combat uses a charge ability and that charge rolls 3 or less, the unit does not count as having made a charge.
So this is a streamlining, right? They want you to be able to get the charge effects of your abilities, but they don't want you to have to constantly, okay, I'm going to move the unit out, we're going to move back in,
exactly,
blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
This is great.
Now, and I think also exciting, by the way, the poll for this week, guys, was who got the full Matt Rose this week. And I don't know if you guys have put any what do you guys think that means? I don't know.
Well, whatever it means, Stormcast are winning.
Stormcast are winning, Gloomspite Gitz are losing.
Yep.
Okay, so now Shriek, Stun, and Petrify all do the same thing they currently have done.
But you only get once per turn, though. You only get each effect once.
You get each effect once, and they get handed out by different units. So Shriek can be handed out by any unit. Stun needs to be Cavalry or War Machine. War Machine presumably is Black Coach.
Yes.
And Petrify needs to be Hero.
Interesting. I like this change. I like this. I really hated the whole I'm going to charge you with 4 units and I'm going to be Ren 7. Like, it felt terrible.
Yeah. So you're only subtracting 1 from 1 unit save. You're only giving -1 to hit from 1 unit, and you're only putting strike last 1 place. But you're guaranteed to do all 3, essentially, right? And you can do them even if you've been already in combat without actually having to fall back.
Only with 1 unit. That is also a once per turn effect. So
once per turn, yeah. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I like that these are capped at 1 each. I think that makes sense. I like that they are not role-based. They're based on who the unit is charging. That makes sense to me. I like that heroes are so scary that you strike last. That makes sense, rather than just being, oh, those ghosts traveled really far. Like, that didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
So I like this.
Right. Right out of the gate, I would say that... So they specify... yeah, so right out of the gate, Knight of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed. He cannot do both, but he can pick either Stun or Petrify. That's cool.
Oh, okay, cool. Right, so the heroes that are also infantry can
Cavalry, right? Presumably he'll have the Cavalry keyword, right? And would be able to do either.
So you're always basically going to get subtract 1 from hit rolls. That's always going to happen because that's everyone, right?
Anyone can do that. Yeah, anyone can do that.
Yeah, I like this. This is really nice. I think this is really cool, like, consolidation of that massive essays worth of rules that you had to read.
Yeah. Okay, they give us 1 battle formation, Deathstalkers. Deathstalkers is great. Run and charge, and retreat and charge. They kind of don't.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
They kind of don't technically need the retreat and charge, but it does let you change targets.
You might need it. You'll need it if you've got multiple units you want to do this with, because you only get that cool effect once.
And in addition, they don't take mortals when they leave.
Yep. Which I think is really nice. I like this. I like that this is now one of the sub-factions, and this isn't just the whole army can retreat and charge, because that was such a powerful effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really cool. I think this is a very strong sub-faction. I'd be very curious what the other ones are, because this is real good.
It's good. It's actually the one that initially I'm thinking my build would benefit from the most. However, the other ones are Vanishing Phantasm, which lets you transport entire units of spirits across the board, they say. Hunters of the Accursed, sap souls from enemy heroes. That sounds like it could be Emerald hosts again.
Yeah, the Emerald host, yeah.
And then this one's new, which is Procession of Death. Lets you build some defensive buffs around a black coach. So you get a black coach, and I guess it does defensive buffs.
Let's pray that this is the edition the black coach is an absolute auto-include, because I love that model so much.
Well, keep in mind, it's also one of the few candidates for stun.
For stun, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it will be. I'm excited to put mine together. I haven't worked on it yet, but I'm excited to, actually. Okay, they talk about lore of the underworlds. Again, it kind of sounds like, Steven, we were saying earlier, it sounds like they've got 1 lore, and it's lore of the underworlds. Shade Mist is a spell they already have. It gives a unit, I use this currently, it gives -1 to wound on a Nighthaunt target. It's a solid spell.
I like that it targets units that have 3 or more, so you can't put it on your little 2-man units of stuff.
Right.
I think that's kind of interesting.
Which is going to come up. We're going to talk about a 2-man unit here in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, they give a unit focused
Okay, let's see. Let's see the
So
lady.
we get Lady O, and I think she has gone up. I think she's gone
All right.
better.
Okay. So
So
let's see. So she moves 8, save 4, 7 health. Okay.
that's fine. She's not horrifying visage. We've seen this reoccurring where it is turned into a shooting attack. It is
Shooting
not
attack.
mortal wounds.
It does also wound though, which is kind of scary when you're doing D6 damage and it's Rend 3.
Yeah. So the whole army has the auto wound thing, right? The whole army has they've retained Six's auto wound.
Yeah, they just put it
Criticals.
on the
They just put it on the
profiles.
war scrolls.
Yep.
Okay, no rest for the wicked is once per game, just like it is now, but instead of D6, it's D3 plus 3. Significantly
Oh,
better.
that's so good, and it's
So
the
good.
entire board. Oh
So
my
good.
god,
Uh,
that is great.
I love her grief ability. It subtracts 3 from control scores of enemy units that are within 12 of her.
That's very good because we've not really seen high control, so the fact that it reduces 3 of the unit, I think, is very, very good.
Yeah, we've seen pretty much 1s and 2s, right?
Yeah, 1s and 2. Well, monsters have 5, it seems, but
Monsters,
like
yeah.
even so, like she reduced Krondis down to 2,
Yeah.
which feels significant. Although if she's within 12 inches of Krondis, I think she's probably dead. I think
Yeah,
Krondis would just eat her up.
She does still have her fort board.
She is infantry.
And she,
So
she
Krondis-
is infantry.
Krondis gets all the buff.
But his is anti-rend, and she doesn't.
That's
care
true.
about Rend.
Anti-infantry, yeah. So she ignores Rend, which
Yeah.
is really good. And then
Grief
grief-stricken for spell.
Stricken for sure gets better. Grief Stricken is wild. Ignore positive modifiers to hit, wound, and save rolls.
Ooh.
So
yeah.
you find a Stour as a Stormcast player, like this just undoes
Yep.
that. It's pretty wild, actually.
And it means that their debuffs, like, again, all those times where you can't get positives, but you can have negatives, like, this just makes your effects so much more potent. You're giving -1 save, -1 hit.
Yeah.
You know, they can't plus it, they can't counteract your ability. That's very, very good.
Yeah. So
And she's still got a ward, so that's nice.
Yep.
And she's a 2-caster. Yeah, she seems awesome.
she seems quite good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm into her. She's great.
Now, by contrast, Reckonor, I'm not sure.
Is this the dude on the flag thing with the candles? Is this that guy?
Yeah, he's cavalry and he's a hero, so he can do both stun and
Okay.
petrify. So that's something.
He has a ward. He has his death save.
He has his ward. Yeah, we see that all over. He's got the normal Nighthaunt, auto wounds, +1 damage on the charge. He is cavalry. And
That's nice on Fel Reaper though. The 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, auto wounding, Rend 3 on the charge. No, Rend 2 damage 3 on the charge is pretty. That's a pretty good profile.
Not bad, not bad. His candle. Okay, so he can do a mortal to himself.
Hang on, go up. Let me see his stats a sec. 7 wounds, move 12. Okay, yeah, all right. So he seems pretty standard.
Okay, so he can either hurt himself. To give himself +1 casting, and add 1 to his power level. Does that let him cast an additional spell?
Yes.
Does it? Okay.
Yes. Power level is how many spells you can cast.
If you choose to hurt an enemy unit, you just get the +1 cast to cast. But if you choose to hurt yourself, he can do an extra cast as well. His spell Wraithstorm is kind of what it is now. It's D3 mortals, and if you kill a model, it's D3.
Yeah, you heal.
More mortals.
No, it's more damage.
It's
now.
just more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's good against like small infantry type targets where
Yeah.
you can get the effect.
Yeah.
Grim Justice.
Grim
That's
Justice, yeah. Add 1 to hit and wound rolls if he's going after a priest or wizard. It's fine.
So he feels like he's an assassinator, right? He wants to fly around the back of the board trying to assassinate wizards and priests and support pieces because he will wreck a wizard with that profile. 2s and 2s, Rend 2, 3 damage.
Yeah.
He will wreck a 5-6 wound on foot hero. So that feels like that's his role.
Okay, then we get Dreadblade Horrors, and these guys might be sold out already online after what they get. So
Right. So they're a unit now.
they're turning into a unit, presumably of 2.
Yes.
That's how they're boxed. So I think that's safe to
Yep.
guess. That
That's probably safe.
it excludes them from a couple things that are 3 up, or what was the spell? Yeah, the -1 to wound spell.
The shade
Mist
mist
shade.
thing.
So it excludes them from that. Here they have another, their stat line looks okay. We're seeing, I think the Geist stat line, so to speak, is going to be similar to the Orcs, hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s.
Yep.
They've got the auto wound, blah blah blah. They have this another way of affecting control, which is that if they make a charge, they add 3 to the control of Nighthaunt units wholly within 12.
Yeah, the fact that this is all units and 3 is quite a lot to a unit.
Yeah.
That's a huge buff. That's pretty significant. You do have to charge, but like that is a great effect. Yeah, that's really, really good.
Yeah. Okay, now here is guys, I personally think that this is going to be a day 1 FAQ. Currently, in any movement phase, which means yours or your opponents, they can teleport.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this as a day 1 FAQ, which switches it to your movement phase, which is what it is currently. Any movement phase essentially means objectives are not sticky for you, because this unit will just go and take it if you leave.
I don't think they will change that. I think that's intentional.
You think so? That's so powerful.
So.
That is so.
Yeah, but
powerful.
I think that's one of Nighthaunt's things, right? They're meant to just like discorporate and reappear on the battlefield. I think.
Wow.
Doing this in both movement phases, I think, is
wild.
Yeah.
Totally wild.
No, it's very, very good.
Keep in mind countercharge as well. That means that this unit can go within 9 of you, right? During your movement phase. It can go within 9 of you, charge you, it's a 9-inch charge, and then make you fight last. No, sorry, give you -1 to save.
Sure, but also their profile is kind of garbage, so I'm not and there's only 2 of them. They're not killing anything.
They're not killing anything.
This is purely a control piece.
They're not killing anything, but they can get in somewhere and help. So we'll see. They're very.
Well, think about it though. They're only a 2-man unit, so they're very vulnerable. There's only 6 wounds. Like these guys will die to basically anything.
Yep.
And they have no real combat punch to really speak of. So I think these are meant to be a really flexible support piece for your other unit. So you need them to be able to teleport to get them into the positions you need to do those really clutch charges to get the extra control.
I have 1 painted, since they're currently a character, but my second guy is built. I'll be painting him for sure, along with a Knight of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't order another box of 2 yesterday. So
I mean, Polly brings out the best use, I think, for these, which is using them as a screen.
Block, yeah. There's so much utility from this unit.
You just teleport them right in front of your opponent's army. Like, okay, move. You can't move within 3 of me, and then they leave. Like, very, very good as a screen.
Yeah, and when does this happen? When it says any movement phase, when during the movement phase does that mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We don't know that yet. We need to see the core rules for that. Yeah.
Yeah, there'd have to be a specific window, or if you had to do it within a certain frame, time frame. I don't know.
They also show Mir Mjorn Banshees. The thing that I think people think is most interesting here is that they go up to 2 health.
I thought they've always been 2 health.
No, they're 1. Virtually everything in Nighthaunt is 1. Except
Oh,
for,
wow, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So they got
their Spell Eater thing arguably gets a little bit worse. They used to have to only roll against the casting value of the spell. Now they actually have to. Now it's essentially a deny.
Yeah, but you get +1.
They get +1, which is handy because we haven't seen a lot of pluses out there.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of pluses, on the casting side. So I think you getting +1 to the dispel, pretty solid.
Here, I think we're seeing the Geist. I think that's like the word they use for them. Well, no, they don't have the word Geist, but we're seeing the Nighthaunt hit on 4, wound on 3 thing. Rend 2, damage 3, Only two attacks each.
D3 damage, D3, not 3.
D3. Only 2 attacks each. But not bad.
I think this is a great unit. I
Yeah.
think, you have a couple of these blobbed around your army, just giving you extra dispels to protect your key units. I think these are really solid, and they're really choppy in combat. Me and Brad have always talked about these being underused and underutilized.
Yeah. Okay, so they talk a little bit more about here. They do mention my Dread Scythe Harridans, and say that they still have their lower wound rolls against them when they charge. Currently, Dread Scythe Harridans, you get -1 to wound them on the turn they charge.
Yeah, which is really, really good.
Really good. And then they mention that I think that's it, actually, for this. So
I mean, the way they talk about the Dreadblade Harrows in that paragraph, for me, strongly implies that it's written as intended, and they're meant to go and snipe objectives when your opponent isn't. Like, I think they're meant to punish mistakes. Like, oh, you left that point. Well, I'm gonna have it now.
Yeah. Okay, then again we see a toned down version of their War Scroll rules. Not really what I think we can glean too much of. By the way, interesting though here, Stephen, you were saying maybe basic humans, even if they are champions, still keep their same stat, 4 and 4. Here we go. Here's a Knight of Shrouds, hits on 4. Now again, it's Spearhead, so we don't know, but I think a lot of us are not expecting these stats to change much, right?
Someone was saying, I don't know if it was in the Discord, that apparently someone asked about this, and the stat lines are the same for Spearhead and Thingy. What's different are the abilities. They take away abilities.
So here you go. You were right. Knight of Shrouds, hero, character, hits on 4, wounds on 3s, just like all the other Nighthaunt.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, it's going to make it a lot easier to remember.
Yeah. Super cool. That's actually the only one they show. So that's it. What do you think? We've had 1 week of reviews. We know coming next is here, we'll focus on this cool picture. We know
it's awesome.
We know Monday is Cities of Sigmar. As mentioned, folks at home, Saray and I will be here 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's noon Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific, British UK time. We'll be here then to immediately talk about things, so that you don't have to wait to hear idiots from the internet give their opinions. Don't have to wait long anyway. Steven, what do you think? Who got the full Matt Rose for you this week?
I think it is Stormcast. I think Stormcast. I mean, from what they showed, Stormcast seemed very exciting. I think Stormcast do win it. I think the Gitz stuff definitely felt like revisions or consolidations to what was really, really strong.
Okay.
The ghosts seem cool, but again, I think we're gonna need to see more of their scrolls. But I think they look and feel very interesting, and I like the streamlining of their very complex rule set, so that's good.
Yeah.
Skaven seem awesome. Like, Skaven seem really fun. They're gonna be really tricksy. Things are gonna explode. I mean, this is all great stuff. I'm really excited to see more of these. I'm very, very curious how they're gonna do Bone Reapers and what their tooling is gonna look like, because they're very distinct right now, and they've said that they're not gonna stay that way. So I'm very curious what they're gonna look like.
Yeah, and we have in general been seeing what we believe looks like a toning down of things.
Yeah.
And I think it's likely that Bone Reapers are gonna feel it a lot. It seems like from this week, it seems like Gloomspite Gitz players are the most glum, which, if they're toning everything down, I mean, of these 4 factions currently, Gloomspites are probably the strongest. So
yes.
you've fallen the hardest for sure, if you're a Gloomspites Squig player. But I don't know that War Scrolls are going to tell a lot of the story. The other sub-factions are going to tell a big part of the story. We don't know that the sub-factions are balanced. They're certainly not really, they've never really been balanced in any GW game ever. so we don't know really.
No.
We don't know that they'll be balanced, right?
They seem like they're very limited effects, though. It's like you get one rule. It's one tweak, either a buff that you can do or an ability that you get that
Yeah.
maybe your army always had. So I think they're going to be less. They're going to be significant in how you want to play the army, but I think they're going to be less dramatic in terms of like them just dialing things up if you took it. Like,
Yeah.
they seem a bit more tempered.
Yeah, I think I think the 4 factions we've seen so far, it's so hard to say without all the information out there, but everything looks like it has been toned down. To me, when I'm looking at them, they all seem fine. So I don't know. I feel like I'm a little surprised. I genuinely feel like Nighthaunt got quite a full Matt Rose this week. To me, they look like they got more of a Matt Rose than Skaven, but our poll results agree with you, Stephen, that Stormcast seem to get.
I think it's all just from that Andrasta scroll, right? She just got such a glow up that it's kind of absurd. Like she went from 0 to hero, edition to edition.
Yeah.
Everything else was kind of meh, but like she just looks amazing now.
Yeah.
I'm excited for people to get to use her because I think everyone owns a copy of her and no one uses her. I'm just excited. I'm just excited to see a bunch of angels flying around.
Yeah. Awesome. I think we did it.
Yeah, we did.
So we do want to remind you guys again of the schedule coming up. Saray and I will be here Monday at 9 in the morning to chat cities. Hopefully Monday we also get an idea of what's coming out in the whole week. What else we'll be getting previews. So join us, hang out in the morning for us anyway. We'll be chatting, and I think that's it. I'm gonna thank our mandrills in a second. Steven, thanks for joining us. I guess we'll
of course.
We'll hopefully see you if you get some time. That's like during your 9 to 5 work hours. But if you're feeling like a naughty employee and you want to jump in, you're always welcome.
Well, I mean it's fine because I work East Coast hours a lot of the time, so that's lunchtime for East Coast. So usually
you can spend
I'm
our
occasionally
lunch.
free. So yeah,
You could just be
I can
eating.
maybe spend. Well, yeah, just my breakfast time. But yeah, I'll definitely jump in to talk. Yeah.
Can you like be slurping ramen during like this?
I can do that. Yeah, I can do. Cool. Yeah, I can do some.
I think our viewers would want to see you doing that while we are talking. Okay.
I think it will add. Yeah.
Gonna say goodbye to Steven. Thanks everybody. Thanks Mandrills so much. You guys make the show much more possible for us to do. So we are always very appreciative. Not a game today, so I apologize if you're looking forward to that, but we will be playing Monday. If you're a member, I see most of you in here are members. We will be playing Monday. And it looks like it is going to be Ghost Boys versus Seraphon, me, Brett, and Meg. So please join us for Monday's game. I think that does it. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.